crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Happy New Year's Eve. That is the song I'm going to be requesting from the DJ tonight. Will I get a drink poured on me? Probably, but thank you for joining, everybody. Smash the like button as you come in. We got a major show for you today. We got to talk about Bitcoin needs to hold a level, or we might see Bitcoin crash below $70,000. And I'm not saying this. It is the chart saying it. I'm joined here by TJ. TJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Like you said, Happy New Year's Eve. Really feeling a lot of gratitude for this year. It's been a wild year in crypto, but wouldn't trade this year for any other year, or this industry for any other industry. Just feeling really blessed that we get to do this every single day and get up and talk markets and hang out with the Disco fam, another group of people who are not asleep at the wheel, which is nice. You get used to it, and then you start to really appreciate. You deal with a lot of normies out there, and you're like, man, all these people just have no idea how the world works, I guess. But
yeah, speaking of getting used to it, I'm getting used to a little bit of weird price action heading into 10 a.m. One thing we were talking right before the show, it will push into a direction from like 8:30 or 9 or so into 10 a.m. And then normally it will do the opposite. So we might be starting a little bit of recovery here. You can see into 10 a.m. it pushed up, and then what it ended up doing, it ended up going down. And if we go to Monday, you can see into 10 a.m. Pushing up from 9 to 10, and then it started headed down. So we are pushing down. Who knows what Bitcoin's going to do, except we know it's going to get manipulated. Well, let's look at the rest of the market. Then we're going to dive into these Bitcoin charts, identify this pain level where we might see a $69,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down 0.7 now. You can see for the past hour, a lot of losses. ETH is only down 0.2. BNB squeaking in a little gain. Solana squeaking in a little gain at 0.7%. Dogecoin down 2.3. Cardano passed a major governance proposal, and it is down 2%. We're going to talk about that. Meme Core, Hash, Pump, they're all up. Leo, Canton, how about the Canton? I know we got some people holding Canton in the chat. Hype is up as well. OKB. Look at the big losers. Knight declining fairly sharply here. Going from 10 cents to 9 cents. Zcash down 5.8. Skies down. ICP down. Algo, XLM, HBAR. Some of the more popular coins here, TJ. We're seeing Aave, Cardano. Popular coins are in the red. I don't know if you're seeing anything, anything on sale at the end of the year. If you were buying altcoin today, what are you buying, TJ? Because we do have people in the chat wondering that.
Yeah, if I was buying an altcoin today, it's probably Solana right now at some of these levels. I do think it's poised to have a pretty good year next year, 2026. I'm still predominantly Bitcoin. I would encourage everybody to be predominantly Bitcoin. Aerodrome is one, obviously, that I like a lot, and and I use a lot, and I understand well, and it's at another level that I like. But yeah, I did see that question from CL. I guess he's new to crypto, and he's asking when he should buy crypto. And so 2 questions for the chat. One, if you were buying an altcoin today, what would you buy? Yeah, I see Morpho. That's not a bad pick, especially with everything going on with Aave. But right now, to be honest, is when I would be buying. If you've never bought crypto before in your life, that's actually pretty good place to be in.
Yeah, smash buy today. If you don't have any crypto, smash buy on some Bitcoin right now. If you don't have any crypto exposure.
Yeah, like you said, get at least $50 or get something just so you can learn the process and start to experience it, and you'll watch it go up and down. Always start with Bitcoin. But yeah, out in the majors, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Chainlink, those are all very reasonably safe picks. And then if I need a low cap or mid cap, you could call it, it would probably be Arrow, Morpho. I've had a lot of success in 2025 in the Base ecosystem. Obviously, Coinbase has somewhat of a strategic advantage as they custody a lot of the funds for many of the major ETFs, which in order to do that, you have to have relationships with those banks and those ETFs. So as things, and they also are running everything on their Base app. They're trying to run everything on Base to layer 2. So that all runs through Aerodrome. So just looking at that vertical integration has paid off very well for not just me, but Drew and a lot of the other guys here, and a lot of you guys in the Discord.
And I like Brian Armstrong's vertical aerodynamics. He's a bald brother of mine here. Let's talk about this Bitcoin chart. Screaming $69,000 is going to be on the table here. Bitcoin run out of time for a major move. I posted this morning. Bitcoin's been stuck in a tightening range since November 13th. Time is running out, either for a pump or a dump. A break below is targeting $69,000. Break above, targeting 104. You can maybe even stretch it to 108. So let's look at the chart. I broke it down cheekily, I might add. Lambos or ramen. So put in your prediction here, chat, because I want you to think about this. You know, you can see here, we're stuck in this range. Kind of talked about it yesterday. Where we're saying, you know, people are being a little bit false with their predictions here, you know, kind of measuring the line here. What I got it from when we touch the top, touch the bottom. What do we see next, chat? Is it going to be Lambos? Is it going to be ramen? Type in ramen, type in Lambos. Let me know, because it is going to make a major move. So where am I getting this number from? Well, if we look right here, we just kind of do the classic TA. You're going to kind of break down similar to how your range was inside the symmetrical triangle. That gives us a $69,000 Bitcoin. Let's say, you know, you could, make an argument for 108 here, 108, 107, 104 to be a little bit conservative. Bitcoin's coiling up for a major move. It is going to strike like a viper. The only question is, are you going to have that venom sucked out, or are you going to have a cardiac arrest? I'm leaning towards Lambos, TJ.
Yeah. New cars, new house. The promised land is ahead of us. I am leaning that direction as well. We've also started to cross slightly bullish on some of the shorter time frames. I don't know if it was the 14-day, 20, 21-day kind of ranges, starting to see a little bit of an uptick. We covered yesterday on yesterday's show the whales started buying. We went from net selling to net buying yesterday. So there's a lot of fundamental things, and we're getting into a new year. Again, I still don't think we're going to see any substantial action. So if we're looking at that, I think we'll break that triangle to the upside. It looks like it's heading up towards that 104, 105 level, which that is a pretty key level from a technical level. Like on a macro fundamental level, you could, in a lot of ways, I say, you throw the lines out the window. But from a technical standpoint, a lot of the chartists are saying we need to reclaim 105 to stay in a bullish structure. And yeah, if we start heading back down to 69, 70K, I'm not ruling it out. I'm still holding a little bit of my cash just in case, but I've put a lot of it in already around these levels, and a big part of me wants to just dump the rest in at right here where we're at, and try to send it back up there myself. You know what I mean?
Kelly typed in about the 20-minute. I did see. I think it was Tim Warren identified that as the first time I saw it here, and we throw on the 20 EMA is going to be the blue line. EMA here 20. I thought that would be the 2. All right, let's look. Yeah, we are. This is not giving me an accurate read in the 20.
Well, you'd have to probably change your time.
I'm on daily. I'm on daily.
You are
here.
on daily. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm having some
on the 4 hour.
That's so. Did you see that? It's reversing the colors for me. Maybe it's not too. I swear I charted and put the 20. It's a trading view issue for you there. So 20-day is going to be this red line, and if we look, you can see. Gosh darn it, man. An hour ago, this was on the literal opposite side. It was acting as support. It was the cushion. You ever see the royalty with the people they're carrying them with like the nice little carpet and the drapes and the tassels? It was hoisted. We were getting ready for a party.
Now we're back in the coffin.
Now we're stomping them.
You've seen them where they carry in the coffin too, right? That now we're in that.
It does not look good, but very, very, watch this 20-day moving average. You can see it. I mean, it's just been wicking into it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times is wicking in and getting rejected after it held support for just a couple days. Now, we threw 4 charts at you yesterday. I got 4 more Bitcoin charts for you, different charts. The first one, you're going to have to watch last night's video. Gold, silver charts lagging Bitcoin price correlation. We talked about, silver's printing, what Bitcoin could do next. If you didn't watch last night's video, you were missing out. The alpha I expose is just very, very, I would just say, all right, this guy's looking at this, seeing a late correlation. Like, oh, yeah, I don't know how many days he is behind, but you can see he has a Bitcoin and a silver chart, and he just does this to the Bitcoin chart, and then it kind of matches. I go over the data, and I look at the last 7 peaks for silver, find the average. And if you want to see on average, what is the lag for Bitcoin? Not looking at 1, looking at 7, going back years. Go watch last night's video. It's got a lot of alpha in there. All right, chart number 2, Bitcoin cost basis. This one, very interesting. Let's go to CoinGlass. Let's kind of break it down ourselves here. We're looking at when coins were bought or moved. And you can see, let's just kind of compare the two peaks. 2021 peak to 25 peak, sorry. And you can see no one was accumulating Bitcoin during the peaks of 2021. It doesn't matter if it was the April peak. It doesn't matter if it was November peak. You see coins being moved on the way down. That's more than likely people selling, people taking profit, and people top blasting there. If you compare that to the recent peak, this is nonstop price action. And where there is price action, you'll typically see, just a strong level of support. Let's zoom in a little bit. This is going to be from 2020. We just go to just say the last quarter. Look at that heavy accumulation. So we see spikes when we get near 1 million, it turns red. Here they're accumulating 100,000 Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin, 400,000 Bitcoin, 400,000 Bitcoin. Here, almost 1 million Bitcoin. So there's a lot more accumulation if just looking at when the coins have moved compared to previous peaks. So the peaks are different from that metric. That is verifiable. You can see it is very, very different. We're measuring Bitcoin, not the price there. Next one, hash rate. You see in a recent note, Matt Siegel said minor capitulation historically acts as a bullish contrarian signal. Covered this last week. It's positive returns 90 days later, 65% of the time. 180 days later, it's positive 77% of the time. And we're seeing it continue. So the miners, they're capitulating, typically a reverse signal. And then we have the weekly, people are talking about, I think it's the 100-week EMA. So let's do this one live. I haven't done this one yet. I want to do it with you guys. Yeah, we're kind of stuck in a range. We're stuck in a range. We can hold above this. It's going to be very good. I will say it seems unlikely we're going to test the 200-week in the near term, TJ. Do you think we hit the blue line or not?
And when you say what's near term, like a couple days, couple weeks?
God, I don't like that at all. And this blue line's going to be going higher, so maybe it is going to touch if you look at that. I would just say the next 2 quarters, next quarter or two, because we're looking at weekly candles.
Yeah, I mean it's possible we see it in the next, we see some we could see some bearish activity until, in my opinion, a lot of the legislation gets passed. I feel like we're kind of in a holding pattern. Everybody was poised for the market structure bill to pass late November, then it got pushed to December, now it's pushed to mid-January. And that, I think, is what's going to be the big catalyst for us and the government shutdown, the government passing another bill. Once those things happen, meaning the U.S. government specifically, that's when I think we can start the grind and climb back upwards. So I'm not ruling anything out. I'm pretty close to 50-50 that we go lower, a little bit lower, kind of get into those 69, 70K ranges. But
yeah, you can see that 100-week is the line in the sand. Bitcoin must hold it. So we got a couple things. We got this symmetrical triangle. We got this 100-week moving average. Bitcoin's at a make or break moment for sure in January.
Yeah. And that being said, the other thing is we've really established 87K as a pretty strong support at this level. So the longer we hold at this level, the better it is to set the ground floor at before we go back up. So, I'm not really too hung up on it either way. If it goes back down, I've got the money to buy it. If it goes back up towards the mid 90s, I'm supposed to wait until we reclaim 105 to put the rest of that money in. I just, the degen in me wants to get it in now at 87K. But chat's all talking about, somebody started the conversation about cars, and the chat's been all talking about now their first car. So
don't type that in. Don't ever type that into the internet, people. You need to not type that in. It's one of the security questions they ask you. If you're 40 or 35 years old or older, probably doesn't apply to you. If you're 24, that is a high probability you might see that as a security question.
Yeah, true.
It might be paranoid. It might be in Dale Gribble from King of the Hill, probably.
A little bit, but I mean, yeah, they'll ask you basically any government information, and DMV is where so it's not always first car, it's any car you've driven, like you said. So if you're in your 20s, yeah, you've only driven 2 cars, but they're not going that specific. But
yeah, I haven't been asked for any car past like 10, 15 years on any of those questions, because they're going to know, oh, this guy can't remember. He's a boomer.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I
They
had
know
a rickshaw or a horse and carriage, maybe. I can't remember.
I drove so many beaters, I can't even. So one time I got one of those questions. I was like, "Did I have a silver Toyota Camry? I don't remember
I had
having."
the second worst vehicle in my high school.
Really?
Alan Fales had the worst one. He had I kid you not, 1979 poop brown Corolla wagon that was all rusted to hell, but he had a system in it and it rattled
Okay.
hard. It sounded like how you'd expect it to sound. I had the second worst car with a school of thousands of people. I was pretty poor. I was growing up in the trailer park. I had a 84 Buick Regal that would start without keys in the ignition. I'd given friends right that had spread across school. Someone just stole my car one day.
They
And
stole it?
they wrecked it, actually. They wrecked it, and 3 children ran out of the car. I had the police come up to third period of English class. Mrs. Smith, they came up in the English class. Policemen were there.
Holy
Nicholas
cow.
Valdez here. Come with me. The whole class looked at me like, they
Ooh.
actually looked at me like I was kind of cool because normally you
Yeah.
don't have police officers roll up to a classroom.
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
like, I was in second period. I was not driving on this road, Shipyard Boulevard. I wasn't on Shipyard Boulevard getting in a wreck. They're like, oh, well, someone did. I was like, yeah, you could start it without keys. They're like, oh, all right. Well, I guess we got more work to do.
That's a great your first car story. That's a good one. I started off driving what used to be my dad's, but it was a 1992 bluish green Saturn that had like 300,000 miles on it, and I had to put oil in it probably as much as I put gas in it. Had to top off the by the end of it, I had to top off the water almost every time I went anywhere. So
Yeah.
drive 30
Yeah.
minutes, like, I got to keep the
You
gallon
have
jug
the
in there.
antifreeze jug, but it's no longer antifreeze
No,
in
it's
there.
just water. It's just water. So yeah, did that for a long time before eventually the first car I ever bought, which I realized I don't have the best track record with cars, but it was actually a cool 96 Celica, GT Celica, convertible. Drove it for like 6 months before I totaled it. So, then I can't remember what I did after that, but
Someone
let us
wants
know,
to say
chat.
it was a Yugo. All right, that guy might be out of the age range there. What do I look like I'm AI generated? Because we're in a simulation, clearly, and
Everything.
I am simulating you hitting the like button. You just did it right now. You're like, all right, I'm gonna do it. You're putting your hand on the mouse and you're clicking it right now. Thank you. We appreciate it. Let's talk about Warren Buffett, Bitcoin critic. Warren Buffett, today is his last day as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. He took the stock from $19 a share in 1965 to $750,000 a share today, just up a casual 4 million percent there. Congratulations to the best investor of all time. The important thing, he did all of this without shorting the markets, slow and steady, long-term value plays, hold and chill. And to me, that is just good advice.
Yeah.
Just hold and chill. Don't short. Don't short. That being said, if you see a good short and it's juicy, take that short, baby. Make that money.
I don't know if this is true, but Congressman Warren Davidson praises Bitcoin, supposedly just in on Watcher Guru.
Okay. Is that Tommy Davidson's brother? No, it's in living color. Warren Davidson. Okay. Samurai case.
Hasn't he been pro crypto?
Yeah.
Tell me when it's Elizabeth Warren or Maxine Waters or somebody else. But as far as I remember, he's been very pro Bitcoin for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a ruddy complexion. Ruddy. I haven't said that word in a while. Ruddy. All right, let's talk about CME here. Let's just do a little quick aside on metals. We're not going to focus on metals like we did yesterday. It looks like CME, though, are trying to kill the metals rally. Another margin hike on gold, silver, platinum, and palladium is hitting today. They've basically upped the range. Some are wondering, why are they making it more difficult to trade silver? I saw this chart, and I think this is the answer, folks. Silver held in COMEX vaults. You see the silver supply is diminishing as China, starting to curb exports. We're starting to see more usage. We're seeing a lot of usage in solar panels. We're seeing a lot of just attainment of silver. Meanwhile, silver isn't really super elastic. It's a little inelastic. So just pretty interesting narrative there. Gold about to lose a 4-month uptrend. So it could look like gold's local top has happened. But that also happened in October. You could just kind of draw an imaginary line there. You can see, all right, well, we lost the support there, broke down in the middle of November, and then we're at a new all-time high by the middle of December. So this might be a multi-month cool down for gold. So if you're looking for some precious metals. I wouldn't top blast. I would wait for, maybe measure this correction and then maybe dip your toes in if we have a similar correction there. So that would be my advice. All right. And then we have this story, TJ. We're probably not going to play the whole thing. 60 Minutes might come after us with the YouTube strike. That's 60 minutes for you. But they just ran a segment on Bitcoin miners reducing methane emissions in Wyoming. The narrative is flipping in real time. Let's discuss this sentence here. TJ, let's just say the mainstream media's Bitcoin narrative, is it flipping in real time?
It is, and I would argue it has been. I say it literally started almost to the day, if not, the week that Larry Fink and BlackRock entered the market with their ETF, and we started to see almost immediately shifting in the whole Bitcoin is bad for the environment to like the stuff that all the Bitcoiners have been saying for years. And this is what I hate about the mainstream meters. It's so disingenuous. Like they knew. Every time they would run a story that said, oh, Bitcoin's bad for the environment, every Bitcoiner would come out and say, well, here's all the data and the facts that show it's good for the environment and that it actually improves the grid and how much good that Bitcoin mining facilities are doing to upgrading their local grid and efficiency or rewards efficiency and a million other reasons that Bitcoin is good for the environment. They already knew that. And now they're out here running those same stories saying, actually, now we've come to the conclusion that Bitcoin's good for the environment. And
so
yes,
we've been screaming on the channel for years. I think Ted Cruz is probably one of the better politicians on this specific topic.
True.
Flaring gases is kind of the source. And if you flare gas, you're wasting energy, you're wasting a resource. And you do it because, well, the demand isn't there. You don't need that much electricity. So like 2 a.m., you're not going to have a lot of electricity being used. But if you could just flip that into Bitcoin, you're helping the environment tremendously. And I forgot what the number was, but it's basically hundreds of thousands of cars basically off the road if you could just prevent this from happening. So you're removing hundreds of thousands of cars off the road per plant.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of direct ways it's better for the environment, and there's a ton of indirect ways. Like I said, what the bottom line is, it rewards efficient use of energy. So anybody who's mining Bitcoin is incentivized to be more and more and more and more efficient. So we even went out to CleanSpark. Some of their mining facilities are around here in Georgia, different areas, some in Atlanta, some in north of Atlanta, and some of those kind of places. Saw some massive facilities. They told us what they've done to be upgrading their local grid, as well as, again, like you said, using excess energy that would have been wasted otherwise. So yeah, TFTC is a good account to follow. They've done tons of pieces on this over the years. And yes, it is. The narrative is flipping in real time. It flips when the big money flips. Now that they're incentivized to fund these lobbying groups and et cetera to educate people that Bitcoin is good, not bad. And the thing that's so laughable about that whole concept anyways, if you ever held it up against what it was competing against, like the traditional banking fiat financial system, it's about as inefficient as it could possibly be, with buildings all over the place and lights and people and, move, like you're trying to move gold with, giant trucks and vaults and all this crazy stuff. It's nowhere close to efficient. So, Bitcoin could replace all of that and use a fraction of the energy. So the whole Bitcoin energy thing is a whole rabbit hole you go down for a while. But yes, it is absolutely shifting in real time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bhutan, you brought up gold transport. They're in the mountains.
Yeah,
they can't even get up there. And so, a perfect reason to use Bitcoin right there. All right, let's talk about, so why is the narrative shifting? What could create this narrative shift that we're seeing? Maybe this is why, folks. Maybe it's to prop up our treasury, our debt, our US dollar. Stable coins have now, they're past 1%. They're 1.35%. So 1 1/3 essentially of the total US dollar supply. Doesn't look like a whole lot. Let me zoom out a little bit. But this is just a start. This is the tip of the iceberg, folks. And why are we seeing this? Well, part of it, we need buyers of our debt. Who are going to be a large portion of those buyers? Tether and Circle. Breaking news from this morning over the past 12 hours, they minted another $2 billion. What do they do with this? The vast majority of it goes to buy U.S. treasuries. So we need buyers of our U.S. debt. And now we're also seeing this push from Congress. We're seeing a narrative push with mainstream media, CBS. I mean, look into Barry Weiss, definitely not someone that would champion a lot of things like freedom. But you look at stable coins, coming from the Senate, now they have the narrative, we're also going to give China the global edge if we don't lean into the crypto world. So this is Faryar Shirzad. He's Coinbase's chief policy officer. He said the debate over U.S. issued stablecoins can offer rewards under the Genius Act. If we don't get this passed, it could hurt U.S. dollar stablecoins' global competitiveness. He pointed to a recent announcement from China's central bank that as evidence that rival financial systems are moving quickly to enhance the appeal of state-backed digital money. China's central bank this week outlined a framework that will allow commercial banks to pay interest on their digital yuan wallets. And this is starting tomorrow. And so while we have the big banks lobbying politicians to prevent this from happening, China doesn't have that problem. And they're moving forward. They're marching forward. And their citizens, in a weird way, if you separate surveillance out of the equation, that's a foregone conclusion. They're at least getting some advantages, and they're not being held down by a banking cartel, because in China, the cartel is the CCP. So, they'll gladly trade 4% interest to, freezing your account at the blink of an eye, at the snap of a finger.
Yeah, they don't hold back. The whole government is the cartel, and they're not shy about it. So, they can get a lot done fast over there. And it is an energies race. I do see there is I think we have a huge advantage here. I don't think it's nearly as close as people like to, when it comes to crypto. I mean, obviously energy, they've got a pretty good head start. We're way behind on nuclear facilities and things like that. So I'd like to see us catch up on
what
energy.
would you say we do have the advantage in?
Tech. We have the advantage in, like, we not only do we have it, but we've got all of the, the startups that are around it, and the the BlackRocks and the Coinbases and the Krakens and the Robinhoods and all of the tech advantages that they've got their own tech, but they're isolated into their own.
So you say we have like a good force of computer scientists pushing the edge of crypto, AI.
Not as much computer
science. Saying
companies, like entities that at this point are arguably almost getting to be as powerful as nations, and many of them are here. We have, if we, and what Trump is trying to do is get many of them to band together and kind of treat this as a tech race, so to speak. We have Elon Musk, we have Tesla, we have X, we have Zuckerberg and SoftBank and Nvidia.
You point to a Google, an OpenAI, a SpaceX, and so your point is private companies. And I would add to that, we get the brain drain of the globe. So we have a lot of just the PhD level candidates. They come to America because they see more opportunity. So we do a brain drain on these other countries.
And the Bitcoin movement started here in the United States. All of crypto pretty much was born from here and kind of got pushed out. If we can just pull that back in, which they've been doing quite successfully in the past year or two, I think we still have a pretty good strategic advantage in a lot of different ways. So if we can catch up on the energy thing is probably the most concerning thing that I would say we are definitely behind on. But other than that, I think we have, and I mean, let's not kid ourselves, we still have the reserve currency, and that's pretty much, that's the golden gun, so to speak, when it comes to global economic power and trade and all that sort of stuff. When you have the reserve currency, you kind of have a trump card on everything, so to speak.
No pun intended. All right, well, keeping in the U.S. politics here, jobless claims did decrease last week. 199,000 new unemployment claims were filed for this week, a decrease from 215, but the 199 is lower than the projection. The projection was going to be 220, so not a major move, but we do have a bigger report. The December non-farm roll payrolls report is due next week. This is the first one to be released on schedule since September. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this one. This is a little bit of a precursor, an appetizer. And the appetizer is saying, maybe the entree is going to be good. But again, we don't know for sure. But the entree is looking like it might be tasty. All right. Now, speaking of the entree, let's just get right into the meat of the politics news today. Trump meme coin looks like they're doing a soft rug, TJ. They withdrew $33 million in stable from the liquidity pool. They deposited in Coinbase today, $94 million so far this month. They do call it the soft rug. The difference between a rug and a soft rug, I'm not going to get into the whole. Oh, I guess I did highlight. They add Trump tokens without parent USDC. So TJ, they'll add $1 million liquidity with the Trump token, but withdraw $1 million in USDC. So liquidity pool just looks the same. But meanwhile, they call this the soft rug. There's soft rug in that coin there.
Yeah, Hayden Davis. I mean, he was kind of one of the ones behind a lot. The Trump, Melania, several other ones. It's running the course of most meme coins. I've never been a meme coin fan. I've always, avoided, told people to caution, stay away from meme coins. You want to buy a little bit here or there for fun because you have some extra shekels and you just want to, gamble and participate with your friends. Fine. I do know people that have made, reasonable money gambling on meme coins, but not a shock at all to see another meme coin just bleed out. Pretty standard.
The picture's funny, but he should be happy. He's like, yeah, I got, here's my Melania stack. Here's my Trump stack.
This was the most disappointing thing to me. I mean, we said it as soon as it launched on this channel, day one. We were like, "This is terrible." Why did they do this? All this does is give everybody who doesn't like Trump a huge attack vector on all of crypto to say the whole thing's a scam. And if they had just done the regulation without launch, I can justify World Liberty Fi a little bit more than Trump and Melania. If they had just cleared the path for regulation without launching their own projects, it would have been way better for our industry. Obviously, that's not our industry, is not their top priority. And that's something good for everybody to keep in mind. No politician, you are never a politician's top priority. Their top priority is staying in power and getting your vote. That's about it. And so if you keep that in mind and know like, oh, they're going to, once they have my vote, they have really no allegiances to me whatsoever. They're much more aligned with their backers than they are with any of the public. So don't rely on the government to save you. Buy Bitcoin, save yourself.
And look at Homestead and everybody. Now let's talk about the other top coin besides Bitcoin. We got Ethereum, and Ethereum is looking pretty juicy, everybody. It really is this simple. 2026 is going to be wild. Buckle up, Buttercup. What are they looking at here? They're looking at the head and shoulders. So we identified this a while ago. I actually pulled up the same point. I haven't changed it in probably a couple. I mean, honestly, what are we looking at here? We haven't changed this in probably 20 days. So this is a old head and shoulders. A lot of people have been looking at this. This isn't a new thing. But it does look like, well, it kind of broke the structure. If you go here, you're like, well, how does he get it to work? 14-day candles. All right, 14-day candles. But other than that, let's just kind of do the target. We haven't done the target in at least 20 days, right? So you do have a target. The way head and shoulders works, if we break out to the upside, you're essentially going to pump equal to the neckline from the neckline to the head, $8,000 Ethereum. But I will say, you start having to do this to the shoulder, it starts to lower the odds that this is going to play out.
Yeah. I said it at the top of the show, we're in kind of a waiting game period, and I think it's going to end up breaking a lot of these types of structures. And we're just, the chart I don't think is really going to give you a clear indication on which way it's going to go, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a macro move that kind of moves us significantly one direction or the other, kind of like we said at the top of the show. Either we make a strong move back up towards 105 or a strong move back down towards 69. And then that will start to reset some of the structures and you'll get all the chart people out there again. But to me, it's much more fundamental. And, I'll go ahead and say this now. I am still very, very bullish for 2026. I do think the money printing will end up stimulating and pumping almost all assets, equities, commodities, crypto being in the commodities category for the most part. That being said, there is a small part of me that has a fear that this is in a long-term accumulation range because it is such a fundamental shift. When we talked about what Scott Bessent was saying about a new Bretton Woods type era coming, if that's true and big money knows that, then this could be very boring for a very long time. 2 years, that's not very long, I guess, in investing terms, but to a crypto-minded person who's trying to get rich in, a couple years, then yeah, a year, there's been many times in crypto where you got, basically nothing, price staying in a very tight range of a few $1,000s for more than a year. So there's a chance that happens in 2026. I'm still in the bullish camp. It's much more lucrative to be an optimist than it is a pessimist. You can there's a lot more pessimists out there for whatever reason, but the bulls win most of the time. And yeah, I mean, this guy's right. TJ's bullish on any day that ends in Y, which is true, and that's paid off very well for me. That being said, I'm not looking at the chart to tell me what comes out. I really do think it's going to be a fundamental thing. Either when the market structure bill passes and some fundamental shifts from the traditional financial system towards crypto, which are happening. Like there's no denying those are happening. It's just a matter of how quickly that's going to happen. And my gut says it's next year, early next year. But I've learned a lot over doing this, that a lot of times things take longer to play out than we think they will.
100%, 100%. Speaking of ETH, last thing on ETH here, we do have a record high of number of transactions. ETH L1 happened on the 29th. It's the highest single day in ETH's 10-year history. Build it, scale it, they will come. Return to mainnet. The ticker is ETH. And I was just looking at this. You will see spikes during heightened volatility, but I do find this kind of interesting that we just put in a new all-time high for transactions. There is a couple, things to kind of point out. You can see one here. We got a spike probably February 24. I think you can see one here, right at the tail end of 23. We go to the ETH chart, start of 24, and you can see, oh, wow, great time to buy ETH. Okay. And then the tail end of 23. Oh, well, what do you know? That was the bottom. And it was also a great time to buy ETH. So not saying, oh, guaranteed transactions up, it pumps, but it has pumped in the past. So I'm looking at this and I'm liking what I'm seeing when it comes to ETH. But I'm liking this with Solana even more. Look at this chart on Solana. Are you ready for one of the greatest reversals you've ever seen on Sol? Bottom sellers will cope. Let's look at the chart here. This is the 4-hour chart. We have been in this range since October 6th. So before the flash crash. So this is all-time high for Bitcoin to October 10th flash crash. And this is our range that we have established. So that's kind of interesting if you think about it. And if you look right here, oh, baby, I like what I'm seeing here, TJ. Now, no guarantee that we're not going to dip back in. You can see we dipped below there, got back in. So we could easily dip above and get back in. But I would say this is directionally very bullish. I'm loving what I'm seeing on Solana, and I'm loving that it's just kind of holding this 125 range. We've talked about it. If it loses this, it goes to 100, probably right around, within $5. Right now, it's holding strong to this 125 support.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these things, especially on the longer time ranges, are starting to look better and better. And if we get one decisive move to the upside, then all of these things start to look very strong. And like we've established, hey, look at that. We've established very good support at all of these levels. Yeah. So Solana is one of those ones that I think is beaten down a bit. Obviously, they've got the mass extraction narrative. They've got a massive lawsuit going on right now with people saying that this was some kind of intentional manipulation with a lot of what was going on with memes. And but they do have a lot of retail people that have used Solana. They have a good UI. It's fast. And the other thing that people forget is crypto changes on a dime. Everybody was here all happy and bullish a couple months ago. It's crickets out here right now. One big green candle and everybody comes rushing back super quick. So I saw somebody else in the chat say I'm bullish for next year, not January. I'm in the same boat. I'm not necessarily saying next week. It's all we're all.
Oh, you said tomorrow.
Again.
You said in 13 hours pumps across the board
next year. Yeah, which is tomorrow. But I do think it's going to take some time for some of that to roll out.
You remember being in school and doing the stupid, I'll see you next year to, you're going to see them tomorrow.
I don't remember doing that in school, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
You said it to your parents. All right. Do want to give a shout out DJ Snowcone. Everybody's saying positive thoughts his way. His dad's in the ICU. He's on a ventilator. It is tough. And I've been thinking about my mother a lot today, actually. So I'm with their brother. I hope everything goes as well as it can, at least. So let's move forward here. Let's talk a little crypto. This is interesting from Polymarket. Jane Street looks like they're making money on Polymarket. Jane Street deleted their identity, but they didn't transfer the wallet. They have 15,000 trades. They're only up $324,000. What is going on here? I think they're maybe testing the waters. I think they're giving an intern a little bit of leeway, and they're kind of exploring how things can go. But this is what it does. It they basically track. All right, looking at this, it enters one leg after the market opens. and it waits for a spread dislocation, enters the opposite side when price shifts. So it normally will get both sides of a binary bet, meaning a two-sided bet, a yes or a no, and they usually get exposure to both sides around 90 cents. So no is 30 cents, yes is 70 cents. You buy no for 30. The second yes is below 70, say it goes to 60, you buy yes. So you have a no for 30 and a yes for 60. So you're in for 90 cents, but you're getting paid out $1. And so that's kind of their strategy. And they're making money, daily P&L, $5,000 to $30,000.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting when you see people that understand trading and understand different types of arbitrage opportunities on these prediction markets. There's a ton of opportunity out there, whether it's an opportunity for building an application, whether it's an opportunity for finding some of these strategies and following them yourselves. A lot of them can be quite sophisticated, but a lot of them are just easy. You can poke around on there and find them. I was looking the other day, this morning maybe there was Super Bowl stuff on there, and there's I think the Rams are still the second pick for winning the Super Bowl, even though they just lost to the Falcons on Monday night at like 14%.
So if you have Rams as the winner, sell it, is what you're saying.
I mean,
because you can't short it, right? And you don't want to buy
could get out of it.
You don't want to buy the 11 other teams in the playoffs or whatever.
Well, what was interesting was the Seahawks, who are have a very good schedule, are only 15% odds. I mean, obviously, there's a lot can happen in the playoffs, but there's probably sports betting opportunities on there and efficiencies that haven't been closed up yet. So people that are making tools for those prediction markets to find these arbitrage opportunities and execute the automated, because what you just showed takes automation and some automated workflows and some of that kind of stuff, especially if you're doing it at a high frequency. And
there's not a human, hitting buy and sell 14,000 times. And if you think of sell, they're clicking the button 29,000 times, 29,644 times. No.
And so they're using automated workflows to do that. And so people that can build tools that make it easy for retail to do automated workflows and stuff, there's a lot of money to be made. And I would encourage you all. I know a lot of people get into crypto because they're trying to make money, right? They're trying to change their lives, and buying and holding Bitcoin is definitely one of the best ways you can do that. When you have excess income and you want to store your value, I highly encourage you to put it into Bitcoin. That being said, don't just sit on your hands after you do that. Go find other ways to make money. There's a lot of things out there now that especially with Claude and coding, it's never been easier for an everyday person at home to find ways to make money online. And you can use AI to do it, whether it's Claude, whether it's content, whether it's I don't know if people are following what's going on with WAP.com. It's a very interesting new startup that's pulling AI engineers and stuff away from Meta, that they're trying to be like an everything app. There's just a lot of opportunity. And so I want to encourage you, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like you just can't get ahead, try to take this next year, pick an area that you want to master, take your free time away from Netflix, away from scrolling, take TikTok off your phone.
My wife is deleting all social media except for X, because that's how she keeps up with Taylor Swift updates.
Well, that's good. That's really healthy. A lot of people, my wife has got this thing called the brick. I don't know if you've heard of that, where you can brick your phone, with a actual device that you have to, it's not an app, it's another piece of hardware. So
you throw it through the window of a Leering center.
Yeah. No, it's not an actual brick, but
we would never recommend do that.
No, do not do that.
Do not do that.
That guy.
If you got bricks, you don't want to be on a boat leaving Venezuela either. That's a sketchy situation.
Totally different type of brick. But just to finish the thought, take all that extra time and try to channel it into something positive. Take and if you have TikTok on your phone, delete that app. That one change could change your life. There's more people that are losing joy because of TikTok than almost probably any other app that I know out there. I haven't had TikTok on my phone for years at this point, so it's not healthy for a lot of reasons.
All right. I was curious, NFL standings. I was just kind of looking. Patriots, 813% win percentage there. Steelers also doing well. Jaguars, Broncos. We see the Eagles, the Bears. We see the Panthers. What? From North Carolina.
NFC South is just an abomination to football.
Yeah, terrible. I mean, the winning team is like eking in at 50-50 there. That's kind of pathetic. If I'm gonna NFC South, you are pathetic.
Yeah.
Seattle, Rams, Denver, San Francisco. I mean, New England with that really high win record.
So I'm looking at those and I'm thinking, well, heck, if you go throw $100 on 6 or 8 of those teams, you're getting a huge pay, or whatever money you put $1,000 on. All pick 6 teams, put $1,000 on it.
If you got 10-1 odds and you buy 9, you kind of walk away with money,
right? And
unless one of those don't win, and then you lose 100%.
Right. But if you take New England, you take, you could take all of the leading teams going into it. Even if you just take, all right, I'm going to take every team with a first round bye. Like, obviously, you had decent odds on that. And if you're getting them with that low of a price point, you're probably going to, you got pretty good odds. So,
all right,
maybe I'll go do that.
All right, let's talk a little Cardano, everybody. Governance, just one part of a much wider effort across the Cardano ecosystem. What do they got going on here? Looks like they are adding a nice little governance system. So what are they doing? I'm not going to get into the article here, but they're going to add Pith and Dune. They put a big thing up for governance support. Looks like 6 out of the 7 Constitutional Committee approved it. 85% of the D-reps approved it. So this is going to be very, very good for Cardano DeFi. Pith is going to be an Oracle. Watch me and TJ's interview with Charles Hostin. We asked him directly, why did you choose Pith over Chainlink? We put him to the fire there. He had a pretty good answer, in my opinion. And Dune is just very, very good analytics company that's going to enable it to just be on a lot more dashboards and probably increase institutional support for Cardano, institutional interest for Cardano. And I got something wild to show in the charts. I don't know if anything you want to throw in, TJ, before I do this.
No, I was just going to add, he also told us there is a tier 1 stable coin coming soon too, which obviously that to me is going to be the most substantial thing for the DeFi on Cardano.
Look at Solana when they added USDT and USDC. Cardano's going to go crazy unless it's RLUSD, and then it's going to, like, I don't know, might dump. But let's look at, all right, so what are we looking at? The 3-day bull divs. Notice that we were talking about this on Bitcoin and how accurate it was. So I was curious, what are we seeing on Cardano? So I've stretched out on the bottom so you can see right here where the bull div is forming. We are creating a lower low on the price, higher low on this oscillator. We're looking where we got here. This is going to be just the RSI, just the regular RSI on TradingView here. So I wanted to go back and look at the last few, actually, really the only 3-day bullish divergences in Cardano's history. We didn't really get one here for this run up in 2021. It was too new in 2017. So we only have seen this 3 times in ADA's entire history. And so I just looked and, what are the charts telling me? What are we seeing when we identify these areas? You can see it form, but Cardano doesn't pump immediately. You can see it form, but Cardano doesn't pump immediately. Lower low, higher low. It took the first time in 2023, 60 days before we started getting a string of green candles. Cardano would pump 229%. It would pump for 146 days. Later on in 2024, the same situation happened. We saw the bull divs on the 3-day, but really the markets were waiting for Trump's victory, and then Cardano would pump 359% after waiting 3 whole months, 90 days later. And so we just printed it again, but this isn't saying Cardano's going to pump the next 3-day candle. It might be 10 candles later. It might be 20 candles later. You might have to wait 30, 60 days, folks, 90 days even. I just want to put this on your radar. It could be a little bit longer than what you're wanting, but I see this. I am sitting comfy in my ADA bags. I'm told you I am a buyer. We're getting really, really close to me deploying some more capital right around 33. Hasn't quite hit it. Looks like it's flirting with this level. And then I'm a heavy accumulator at 25 cents. And if you do have some ADA, we're almost at 1 million ADA. TJ, I know we got to get the Discover Crypto ADA on here. We're going to work on that this week. Help us get over 1 million in the DZ stake pool. And we're going to be giving you night rewards pretty soon. And again, watch the Charles interview because he tells you when you will get the night rewards. But I'm loving this ADA chart here, TJ.
Yeah, no, it looks, like I said, a lot of these altcoins, they still need Bitcoin to make that move. And then all of a sudden the structure resets. I mean, if you look at, that's a target right there. If you look at this, the MRV or MVRV, it's the lowest it's ever been, so it's definitely feels like things are oversold and ready to move to the upside. So I think at this point in the market, patience is the most important part. Accumulate here, keep your income high. Cash flow is the most important thing. Even if you're a big time bear and you think, oh, 2026, we're going to be in a massive recession and all this money printing isn't going to stimulate the economy and we're going to have runaway inflation, then all right, then get your cash flow up. You need to have cash flow. Take that extra cash flow, put it into Bitcoin. I believe accumulating Bitcoin right here is going to be one of the best financial decisions you could possibly make. And then be patient. Don't overtrade. A lot of people try to overtrade, and that's when they get themselves in trouble. They get impatient and they move from their coin. Like selling out of your down bad altcoin right now because you're frustrated and you're looking at it every day and you're tired of looking at it. That's one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion. So there you go.
This is the 3-day on Caspa, and this is bullish as well. They're not going to talk about it. I'm talking about how bullish it is right now. Bartazone. Are you happy? Bartazone. And what the heck is on that cat's head? Is that a hat?
It looks like a Caspa hat, probably. I think that's
okay.
that's probably the guy from our Discord that talks about Caspa every day. And
I thought it was that weird. Remember, Facebook dads had the funny COVID mask, and it was like from their wife's drawer.
Yeah,
I thought it was one. I was like, "What are you doing? Get your mind out the gutter." All right, let's talk about just a little extra altcoin news. We got the Chads of crypto, the Winklevi, the 6.5 Chads, $28 million worth of Zcash. They now own 1.7% of the supply. So we have a digital asset treasury looking into buying more and more Zcash here. And Bitwise filed for 11 strategy ETFs. What does this mean? Does it mean copying Michael Saylor's playbook? Does it mean it has a cool strategy? Yeah, it is. It is saying they have a cool strategy. The strategy is 60% up to in the underlying token. The rest, other ETPs and derivative products. So maybe, a Bitwise derivative, maybe a Bitwise branded ETP might make part of this portfolio. So kind of generating buy volume for their other ETPs within their umbrella. The article kind of splits where the coins are. I just went straight to the source here. This is from SEC.gov. This is the official government document here. This one, you got to be careful. You got to check yourself here with crypto media here. That's why you watch Discover Crypto. We don't trust, we verify. And DZ's always doing that due diligence. The DZ due diligence. That's going on the t-shirt, TJ.
Yeah, I like that. DZ do, not DZ don't.
And then it's going to be a long back, like a pirate or a conductor. They got the long backs. And then back there, it'll say proto dank sharding.
There you go.
I'm going to make it this weekend, folks. All right. Coin number 1, Aave. Number 2, Canton. Shout out to Drew. Athena. We got Athena in there. Hype. I am bullish on Hype. If you saw my 2026, this is something I'm adding to my portfolio. Near. I was hovering over selling Near for Tau this morning. I might hesitate after seeing this. Maybe I still got my little moon bag of Near. Stark. We got StarkNet. We got Sui. We got Tau. We got Tron, which is pretty surprising. And we got Uniswap. And then last but not least, we got Zcash. So those are the 11 altcoins. Any of those, if you could, only put one of those, let's just say you got a big check from your vehicle and you're going to put it in one of these 11 altcoins. Which of the 11 would you put it in?
I've already got some of those, but what's interesting to me about this one is it's a lot of these strong projects, strong teams, strong tech, been around a while, that is kind of outside of the usual suspects in the top 10, top 20. So it is interesting to see they're rounding out their offering for sure and kind of giving a little something for everybody. Near is one I used to have that I don't have anymore. I think it does still have a pretty good narrative with AI and instances and the way
it's a normie friendly coin because it's cheap per token and it's the AI L1. They'll latch onto that narrative.
And if you actually believe AI agents and agentic type AI is going to take off in the next, again, this is the argument, is how long will it take? Is it going to be the next year? Is it going to be the next 2 years, 5 years? Tau would be in that same category. I don't know. It's tough because all of these are kind of in that middle range that I like them. I have good things to say about almost every single one of those projects. Like Hype is strong. I could argue, I haven't looked at the chart lately, but, recently had been a little bit overbought in my opinion. Near intents are highly used. Exactly. That's part of why I'm I'm considering that one. Tau is another strong one as well. Uni, because you guys know I love DeFi. So I don't know. That's a hard. If I had to just pick one,
I'm going with Tau. That'd probably be mine.
yeah, mine maybe Uni, maybe Near, because Uni just had a big foundation unification vote or whatever, and they have a strong legacy backing in DeFi, which is something that I have a pretty good understanding of. So it'd be a toss up between Near and Near Tau and Uni. Sorry, I can't give you one. I don't know. I'd have to think about it for a little while.
Invisible Digital. I don't know if they mean these specific 11 altcoins by Bitwise. If I had to guess, why did Bitwise not have XRP in this list? The one culprit, I would point the finger. You rip the mask off on Scooby Doo. It would say escrow wallet, and it's just a sell pressure from Ripple Labs.
Well, they might even have other products too. They might have an XRP product. They might have, a Bitcoin, an ETH, a Litecoin, a Chainlink. I don't know. I can't remember, but
They do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why. That's why they're rolling this one out, because they've already got products for the major ones. So keep that stuff in mind.
All right, there you go. Offers exposure to XRP, one of the world's largest and longest running crypto assets. This native token of the XRPL. All right, well, there you go, folks. All right, let's talk about Grayscale also buying some Tau. So we got the Winklevi, we got Bitwise, and now Grayscale moved towards an exchange listing for a Tau trust in the US. So just a little bit extra, just buy pressure for that AI altcoin. And look at this. I don't want to get into the whole thing. We've kind of covered airdrops. What is it, TJ? It was like 12 out of the last 13 have basically gone down in value. This is now the 10th largest in crypto history. It might be 11 because the graph doesn't have the midnight. It doesn't have midnight. I think midnight does belong on here. So I don't think they have. Oh, it's 2020. This is old. I didn't even realize this is only 2020 to 2023, but is a top 10 with this old metric. So it is one of the largest crypto airdrops of all time. Looking at number one, yeah, they don't even have, because BNB was 2019. Okay, so Uniswap, ApeCoin, DYDX, ARB, ENS, ICP, Bonk, TIA, Rare, or no, that was Lux token, and 1inch there. So it's got some pretty good and pretty bad. It's just a nice little rogues gallery of coins here.
Yeah, airdrops aren't what they were back in 2020, 2021. That's for sure. So like the main airdrop that I think of that made a big difference for me was Uniswap. That was the last one that I remember thinking like, this was great. I did see this guy in here. We got inside information. Amani knows the Tau devs personally, and he says it's very, very bullish.
Yeah, the Tau ecosystem is very interesting. When you look at, if you're developing on Tau, you have a vested interest in it, and you don't see that so much with ETH L2s. You don't see that so much with just other like Cardano native tokens, or you kind of have a locked up. Let's try to describe this as easy as possible. Part of your war chest is in Tau, and it has to be to operate on that chain. So everybody building on Tau is a lot more incentivized to make Tau succeed versus ETH L2s. I feel like some of those are extracting value from ETH. So it's kind of the opposite.
And a hard cap, which again used to be a fundamental piece in crypto, is a lot less common than it used to be back in the day. But to me, people don't talk about the inflation of tokens enough. Tau, they can come up with.
I would just say AI Bitcoin. It's 21 million, and it's AI.
Yeah, and I would also argue you don't need a catchy slogan. You just need your chart to pump, and everybody will talk about it. And like you said, 21 million hard cap. That's what I was referencing. That used to be a lot more prevalent. That's part of what this space was built on with Bitcoin. Nowadays, people don't talk about the inflationary metrics. That's my one hesitancy with Canton. It has a pretty high inflationary metrics. Sure, you could argue, oh well, it's going to get used a ton. It's like, okay, well, it better, because otherwise it's just going to slowly go down with their inflation metrics. So
have you seen the inflationary metrics of the US dollar?
Yeah.
This should piss you guys off. Let's kind of start over, just kind of set this up. This is looking at average salary versus home price. And yeah, you can still see it. It still fits. Average salary versus home price. And we're starting in 100 years ago. So we're starting a century ago here. And you can see, okay.
Yeah, in the 30s, it was good.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they got war coming in. Like, hey, wait a
Oh,
minute.
that dang war, man.
Let's print a bunch of money. Salaries went down. Everybody went to war.
Are you guys ready for 1971?
Let's get off the gold standard.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
There's
printing
that.
more
Thanks,
money.
Nixon. Thanks, Nixon. Oh,
80s
thanks, Reagan.
stagflation. Yeah. That's that 80s era is what I have a feeling we're about to go into.
Thanks, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah. That's just thanks central banks.
All right. Well, and then yeah, it's also a lot of people bringing up the 5 quarters. Minimum wage was $1.25. Back then, quarters were 90% silver. Minimum wage is like $70.
Yeah.
So people are getting paid $70 in today's value in silver with the original minimum wage.
Wow.
And now it's like 1/10 that. And so people are wondering why people are frustrated. That's the answer right there, folks. But I do want to say to everybody, smash the like button for New Year's Eve. Are you going to be popping fireworks? Are you going to be popping champagne? We're just a couple ones. What do you think of ADA in 2026? Watch our interview with Charles. It definitely made me more bullish. You saw my 3-day bull div. Hopefully that answered. Ondo or the graph? Oh, man. I'm going with Ondo. I think Link is kind of just doing a lot of things that Graph wanted to do. If you can only buy 4, which ones would you buy? I'll just give you one. I don't want to throw 4. I've been buying Chainlink, but I've been buying Tau. Tau is probably what I've been buying lately. What's the one you would buy?
The 4. If I'm buying 4, I mean, the ones I have been buying are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Chainlink. Those are the 4 that I've bought the most of in the last few months. So,
all right.
Oh, Steve-O's coming to Atlanta. All right, come on through, Steve-O. We'd love to see you. But yeah, stay safe out there, everybody. I don't know. Let us know what you're doing if you're doing anything tonight. I usually use this time of year to do a lot of like reflecting and goal setting and I'll start a lot of my stuff, a couple days early. And 2026, I'm getting back healthy again. So I've probably took almost a year and a half ish plus off of physical fitness. So I'm going way back into that, but been doing a lot of goal setting. We got big plans. Hey, look at that. Somebody heard you
Disco
on the stream.
Fam, man. Really, really good.
Through.
Now let's dox his wallet. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Nice. But yeah, next year, I think incredible things are going to be coming for the crypto industry. It's good to be prepared for it. Reflect on this year. Look at it as preparing you for what's coming next year, because I really do believe if you make an insane amount of wealth next year, you need to be prepared to maintain that. A lot of people in this industry make a lot of money and give all that money back, or make a lot of money and lose a lot of money. So your structure and your systems, this is something I'm a big believer in. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And so you need to put systems in place that help you keep getting incremental increases over time. Set great goals. I love that. Shoot for the moon. I'm a big believer in, shoot for the moon, land in the stars type of thing. But the systems is ultimately what gets you there. So that's my wisdom for the day. And yeah, we'll see you guys at the top.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.